Hey everybody, Blue Blades Studios here, and welcome to episode 2 of Blue Blades Christmas Cinema. Yes, that's the name I'm going with. If you don't like it, too bad. Anyways, for the second episode, we're going to talk about 1969's Frosty the Snowman.
Frosty the Snowman was a jolly happy soul.
So when it comes to this movie, I don't really have much of a connection to this film as I do with, say, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or even Santa Claus is Coming to Town. I watched this film several times growing up and at school, but as the years went on, I would constantly go back and visit Rudolph and Santa Claus, but I would never ever watch Frosty the Snowman. It just was never a film that really stuck in my head or had the same nostalgic energy as the others do. I rewatched it for the first time in God knows how many years for this review series, and I gotta say, it was good. I really liked it. It's not my favorite, but I definitely enjoyed it, and I do see the charm in it. So the plot of Frosty the Snowman is as followed. It's a snowy day in a small town, and the school children are absolutely loving it. But they're told to ignore that and instead watch this musician do some tricks. During recess, the kids go out and they build a snowman of which they name Frosty. They decorate Frosty with all sorts of things, and all that's missing is a hat. They decide to use the magician's hat, but he doesn't like that idea. Then, as he's leaving, the rabbit who was in his top hat takes it, goes back to the schoolyard, the kids put the hat on the snowman, and Frosty comes to life. And the children absolutely love Frosty. They love singing with him, they love just walking with him, they just love him. At some point, Frosty discovers that the warmer it gets, he'll begin to melt. So the kids decide to take him to the one place he won't melt, the North Pole. So they go on a journey, and then eventually one kid, named Karen, goes with Frosty herself up to the North Pole. And by the time they get there, Karen is freezing. Frosty, being a very caring person, decides to find a place where Karen can get warm. He eventually finds it in the form of a greenhouse. However, the magician had been following Frosty and Karen the whole time, and eventually when they get to the greenhouse, he traps them in there and Frosty melts. But, of all people, Santa Claus comes. He brings Frosty back to life, threatens the magician to be good or else he will never give him presents ever again. Frosty and Santa bring Karen back home, and then they go and live up at the North Pole. Now I want to get straight to talking about the characters for this one. In terms of all of them, let's start with Frosty.
I can count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 6, 8. Well, I can count to 5.
Frosty is just an absolute lovable character. He's very kind to the children, and you just see how much he loves them, and even how much he really cares for them as well, especially near the end. The children really bring that imaginative feeling that I'm sure everyone had when they were kids, wanting to build a snowman and just enjoying a snow day, even if it was at school. And Karen herself is, of course, a good example of that. She's absolutely lovable. You can tell she really cares for Frosty, especially when he practically dies. The magician is a very funny character as well. Not as great as someone like, of course, Yukon Cornelius, but also funny in his own way. Then, of course, the final character I'll mention is Santa Claus. It's really hard to do a bad Santa Claus unless you're trying on purpose to make a bad Santa Claus, but he's actually really good in this film. Now, of course, one thing I want to talk about is the animation. This, too, was done by the Rankin Bass Company, the same guys who did Rudolph and so many more. But unlike Rudolph, which is stop motion, this is a traditional cell animation. And it's something because despite this being an entirely different art style, it still looks and feels like a Rankin Bass special. The characters kind of have this look to where it looks like they took the stop motion characters and just animated them in 2D. Even the titles are exactly like something like, say, Rudolph or Santa Claus Come to Town or other specials. Another thing that I forgot to mention in the Rudolph episode was I'm doing one thing for this series where I give a piece of trivia about it. So for Frosty's trivia, the 1969 Rankin Bass Frosty was not the first ever adaptation of Frosty. I believe the first one comes from the year 1954, and when it was a black and white 3-minute short. And of course the song Frosty the Snowman plays in the film, and it just makes you smile all the time.
Frosty the Snowman, what a happy, jolly soul.
To conclude, I honestly really do like Frosty the Snowman. While I personally don't have that much of an attachment to it, I can see why someone would. It's definitely a classic. So while I may not have the biggest nostalgic tie to Frosty, it is definitely a classic for many people of all ages. It's got the same charm as most of the other Rankin Bass specials. And even if you've never seen it or haven't seen it in years like I did, I think if you go back and watch it, You really will enjoy it. And that was the second episode of Blue Blade's Christmas Cinema. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to check out more of my videos, including the Rudolph one, just go on and head over to my channel. With that being said, this is Blue Blade Studios, signing off.